Hey, this is the original player from the Himalaya, Sanjay Dutt, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview. I hear it all the time, baby.
You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to this week's Impact Wrestling Media Teleconference. This is Ross Foreman, and our special guest is arguably the busiest guy in the company. Multiple hats, multiple jobs, multiple duties. Sanjay Dutt, welcome.
Hey, Ross, how are you? How's everybody doing?
We're doing well here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Swamped a little bit, but comes with the territory, right?
Swamped there, that's the understatement for you. But I'm guessing you're sitting at home, you got your foot up because of your recovery, you got an Oakland A's hat on, sideways, of course. You got Tupac in the background. Have I pretty much laid it out for you?
Well, no, because I'm actually doing very well with my recovery, so I'm walking. I'm okay. I can't get any work done with Tupac in the background, Ross. We all know that. Come on now.
What about the Oakland A's hat?
Actually, no hat. I just freshly shaved the head. I was going for the Ross look.
All righty. Well, there you go. All righty. Well, lots going on. Sanjay, you want to just give us a quick what's the latest in your world?
There's a lot. Obviously, tomorrow night's is Impact coming live on Pop TV. It's Seidel versus Aries in the main event, and a double main event, and also Brian Cage and Bobby Lashley. And then I wanted to break a little bit of news here, Ross. Is that all right?
Go for it. Everybody loves hot news.
All right. Oh, yes, absolutely. So, big WrestleCon weekend coming up next week. Obviously, our big show, Lucha Underground versus Impact Wrestling, is on April 6th at 9 p.m. at the Sugar Mill Convention Center. A few hours before that, on April 6th, at the Royal St. Charles Hotel, we're going to be doing a press conference at 4:30. This will be for Redemption, our main event of Austin Aries defending the world title against Alberto El Patron. Those players will be in the house for our press conference, and this is open to not only the media but to fans as well. So it's the Royal St. Charles Hotel, 4:30 p.m. on April 6th. In New Orleans. It's part of a jam-packed weekend at WrestleCon that we've got. Not only do we have our show at 9 p.m. on April 6th, but we're going to be broadcasting live on Twitch, which it looks like for 3 consecutive days. So there's a lot of cool stuff. We put up a schedule on ImpactWrestling.com. A lot of details are on .com. So head over there, check that out, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at the press conference at 4:30 on April 6th in New Orleans.
All righty. Well, there you have it, Sanjay. Obviously, a lot going on. That whole weekend, I'm guaranteeing you're not sleeping at all. You'll be with Josh doing Twitch and all the other fun stuff. You got dinner with the Cult of Lee, and just a lot going on in New Orleans.
Absolutely. It's going to be pretty jam-packed. I like to get my sleep in, so I'm going to be a little perturbed if I don't get some sleep.
All righty. Well, we will open it up for media questions at this point. Media, as always, I ask you to identify yourself, your media outlet, and please limit it to one question alone for Sanjay.
Q&A session has started. To ask your question, please press *6.
Hey, Sanjay, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com. I know that you've got a busy WrestleMania week, obviously, but are you going to make it to the Hall of Fame to see your buddy Jeff Jarrett get inducted?
No, because I'll be at the Lucha Underground versus Impact Wrestling show, but I hope to maybe see him throughout the weekend. I know it's a jam-packed weekend. Everybody that goes down to WrestleCon has got about a million things going on, but it would be good to see Jeff again. It's been a while. And congratulations to him, absolutely.
Hi, Sanjay. It's Oliver Newman here from Broken But Glorious Wrestling Podcast.
Hello.
My question is, with all the international relationships that Impact Wrestling is building around the world, Is there any promotion in particular that you'd have your eyes on in the UK?
You know what? There's a lot of good, very top promotions in the UK. I mean, I think my last, trying to think of the last time I was over there, maybe about a couple of years ago. Obviously, there's Defiant, there's NGW, there's Rev Pro, there's IPW. You know, pretty much everybody out there that's running right now on a regular basis is got their stuff together, man. The UK talent is off the chain for quite some time now. They've been kind of, I guess, for a while, it seemed like they're just kind of hidden out there doing their thing, and then just out of nowhere, you know, overnight, the whole world was like, hey, these UK guys are doing something really special over there, and it's kind of created its own territory. But any of those groups we'd love to work with, any of those talents that are kind of blowing up on the UK scene, I would love to see. Obviously, you know, we've announced our presence at MediaCon coming up in September, so we hope that that's the start of much more of a presence in the UK scene.
Thank you very much.
Hey Sanjay, this is Ritu from Fujita. How's it going?
Good.
Awesome. My question is, so when you do recover from your injury, do you plan to continue at the desk or go back into the ring again?
Good question. You know what? I'm kind of I'm not totally decided on what my future is. You know, this is 18 years in the professional wrestling business, 18 years as an in-ring performer, is pretty much half my life at this point. My birthday's coming up, so half my life I spent, you know, in the ring, and this has been the longest period of time that I have not stepped in a ring. So I'm coming up on 12 weeks since my surgery. So it seems like an eternity, but you know, I've got a lot of stuff that's on my plate, and you know, adding into that is stepping in the booth with Josh every week. So I do miss wrestling. You know, don't get me wrong, I do miss wrestling, but there's a lot on my plate right now, and when the time comes to where I can get back in the ring when I'm fully recovered, you know, I'm kind of looking at it as a bridge I'll cross then.
Sanjay, this is Terry from Pro Wrestling 247, NBC Sports Radio on Demand. At Impact versus Lucha, the Impact Tag Team Championships are up for grabs, and I'm wondering what would happen should the Mac and Killshot manage to capture the Impact Tag Team Championship.
Well, I think that obviously that's intriguing in itself. You know, the fact that is a title match, it's very intriguing. If you bring up that scenario, like you just said, what happens if Killshot and Mac do win the tag team titles? Obviously, we have a good relationship going here with Lucha Underground. We'd like to see that blossom even further. And like I said, part of the intrigue in creating these matchups was seeing what could happen, and that's definitely a possibility. Killshot and Mac, I think they're part of a trios in Lucha Underground, so they know each other very well as a tag team. LAX, obviously, tag team champions here for kind of taking over Impact Wrestling in the last year plus. So I'm really excited about that match. Plus, there's a huge tag team main event where Austin Aries and Phoenix are going to take on Pentagon Jr. and Patron. So there's a lot of intriguing matchups and a lot of intriguing outcomes to this card.
Hi, Sanjay. This is Tiffany for Future Magazine in UK. How are you?
How are you?
Fine. I turned my Achilles tendon a few years ago, so I know what you're living now, and it's ugly.
Yeah.
My question, last year the key words when we were on conference call were we were always talking about rebuilding. And now it seems like it's over because the ratings are good, because all the indicators seems to be good. I wanted to know what, for you, made this thing change, make the people come back, make the ratings be good? What are the elements that made it possible now? Thank you.
Well, yeah, sure. Well, I don't think that I think we're still in a rebuilding phase. I don't think that that's over just because ratings are good for a few weeks and whatnot, and obviously interest is kind of growing on a week by week basis. But I don't think that rebuilding is over. I think that obviously that is definitely in place, but on top of that, it's trying to bring stability to the product on the screen and bring stability to things backstage as well behind the camera. So those elements are definitely in effect on a daily basis. What can we credit this, the past, I'd say since 2018, since January, I'm not sure, but there's a lot of elements. And, with a wrestling company, I think the main thing that creates a successful wrestling company is talent. So obviously that's clicking with the audience, and it's showing in our metrics on television, social media, digital. So I'm gonna credit all of that to the talent that you see on camera.
Hi, Sanjay. David Dunn with the New Zealand Pro Wrestling Informer here. Through all the different roles you serve in Impact Wrestling, between serving as a color commentator, working as a creative team member, and then rehabbing your injury as well, how do you keep yourself from being spread too thin across the different roles?
That's a great question. You know what? Look, the reality is that this company right now, we are we're rebuilding, like I said, and we're growing, and there's not a lot of us that are doing all this stuff. So, and we're a very tight knit group. We all have a certain goal in mind, and we all kind of are doing everything we can to achieve that. It comes with the territory. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and we're all doing it every day, day in and day out. Behind the camera, there's a lot. Especially the production team in Nashville. I mean, a lot of stuff would not have none of this stuff would be possible without those guys and the hard work that they put in it, and their creativity as well. So it's definitely a team effort, man, all the way.
Hey, Sanjay, John Corrigan from the Wrestling Estate. I want to go back to, you talked about commentary and whether you'll cross that bridge when you come to it. How do you feel about your commentary in the few weeks it's been? How do you feel your chemistry is with Josh?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question. I don't know if I'm the best person to ask that. I do feel comfortable in the booth. I think that Josh and I have good chemistry. I really do. I wasn't too sure about this endeavor, but I said, you know what, let's give it a shot. And I think it's kind of worked out. I think it's been going okay. I think my first couple of weeks, I was still kind of getting in a groove of things and figuring out, a lot of the intricacies that go along with it and making it a successful show. But Josh, I told him before we started that first episode, I said, Josh, you lead and I'll follow. And as long as we got that, on the table, we'll be all right. So, I think we're all okay. I think we're doing okay.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sanjay, I think everybody really wants to know, what truly is it like working with Josh Mathews?
I will say this: Josh is a pro amongst pros. He's definitely he's more of a pro than a lot of people that I know. But he's got his stuff together. He's an eclectic guy, I'd say now that he's linked himself with a Matt Seidel. But so far we're doing all right in the booth.
Jim Barcelona, MiamiHerald.com. Sanjay, about the Knockouts division, what do you see with some of the younger talent in that division, especially Su Yung, who's making her in-ring debut, I guess. She was on last week. And then also Diamante of LAX.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the knockouts division. I think that there's so much stuff that can be done, and there's so many different characters now that we've got integrated into the knockouts division. You bring up your Su Yung, but I'll also bring up a Kira Hogan that debuted recently, and she's very young, 22, 23 years old, been in the business for only a few years. So the growth there is immense. And Su Yung as a character, she's very striking. I've been on independent shows with her for many years, and I've kind of been in tune with what she's doing and seeing her character grow as it's kind of evolved also over the years. But Diamante just came off an ACL surgery, so she's cleared finally. She's ready to go, but she had a rough past 6 to 8 months. With tearing an ACL, going through surgery and rehab, and getting back to a point where you can step in that ring and not fear any further damage to your knee. A lot of it is psychological when you come back from surgery, and I'm kind of experiencing that myself now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sanjay, we have an email question from Scott via Facebook. He wants to know, where do you stand on the Eddie Edwards, Sami Callihan situation?
Well, that's been quite a polarizing topic, I guess, over the past month or so. I think the world of a guy like Eddie Edwards. I think not just as an in-ring performer, but as a person, put the cameras aside, just as a person, I think the world of him. I think that Sami Callihan is a extremely, extremely gifted performer. I think that there's so much upside to a guy like Sami Callihan. I think that what happened was absolutely unfortunate. At the end of the day, accidents happen, and you can't prevent them. Well, let me rephrase that. You can prevent them, but still stuff is going to happen, especially when you're working with, in this case, a chair and a bat. I don't think, I know that Sami, this is not something that he intended to do. I think that the backlash that he received afterwards is kind of what kind of set him off. I think it kind of messed with his head, and that's kind of how we've seen him on Twitter, and we've seen him on doing various interviews, and I think that was just kind of his way of lashing out at everyone. I think that it's hard to be criticized openly in a public eye like he had been right after it happened, and that was his way of kind of lashing out at everybody.
Ryan Ryder from Main Event Radio. Impact Wrestling has their co-branded event next week with Lucha Underground, and you're returning to the UK in September. Sanjay, do you have any other live events to announce for 2018?
We are working on some stuff. We've got this Twitch. We've got our Twitch channel now, and it looks like on a monthly basis we'll be doing special events that are geared especially for Twitch, exclusive to the Twitch channel, and we're going to be doing stuff like that also on our GWN app, or our Global Wrestling Network app. So there are going to be plenty of more live events that we're going to be able to announce. We're working on stuff to get stuff finalized. Last week we just came off a successful 2 shows in Northern California, and we teamed up with Big Time Wrestling up there in Newark, California, and Salinas, California. We shot a one night only that's going to premiere on the GWN network on May 11th. So there's going to be a lot of more live events, and we're trying to hit up as many of the spots that we can here domestically, and hopefully with this UK announcement that we can take things abroad as well.
Any specific locations that you're looking at?
Can't say right now.
Okay.
Hey, Sanjay, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful.com again. You're going to have so many of those shows in New Orleans. You're going to be scouting talent while you're there, taking a look at people. I know that you've been able to wrestle people like Joey Janela and Kurt Stallion and a couple other emerging independent names during your last few months, at least in the ring. But you're going to keep your eye out in New Orleans as well?
I keep my eye out on a daily basis. I am just because I haven't been, obviously I've been hurt and I haven't been, active on the independent scene in the last 12 weeks. But, that doesn't mean that I'm not paying attention to what's going on. My ear is always to the ground. I'm kind of I'm in the thick of things. Aside from this injury, it was a regular thing. Every week out there on the independent scene, and I was doing more to scout and see what is out there than paying attention to what I was doing. So I still got my ear to the streets, as they would say, and I'm looking forward to trying to catch some of the other shows. Joe Janelle's Spring Break is at midnight, following hours. Rev Pro's right before us. There's Crash. So especially the Crash show, I'm very, very interested to see some of the young high flyers that are coming out of Mexico that domestically we may not know about, but this may be their chance to kind of shine and get some worldwide notoriety.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Sanjay. This is Nick Houseman from WrestleZone.com.
Hi, Nick.
Good to talk to you again, Sanjay. We've had a couple of guys here on the media calls, of course, the last few weeks, and many of them have brought up how they've had a chance to work with you behind the scenes in a variety of capacities. I just want to know, from your experience working with everybody, is there anyone that you've been surprised with, that you gelled so much with creatively, or maybe somebody that surprised you with the amount of creative ideas they came to you with?
You know what? Honestly, somebody that does stand out is Sami Callihan, and he had some ideas to integrate into the OVE characters when he first came aboard in November, and I knew Sami, from working with him on the independents, but I didn't know that side of him. So obviously I'm very open, and I love hearing ideas. I think the whole roster would know that I love hearing everybody's ideas and everybody's input, and I'm open to anything, and we all are, on the team. But Sami, threw some ideas out there, and they clicked, and it kind of jived with what we were looking for with this evolving the OVE character and the brand once he came in November. So I'd say Sami kind of stands out on that end, and also a guy like Matt Sydal as well. He's this character that you see now, and may not be that much of a character, maybe more of an extension of who he really is. But those two stand out for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sanjay, this is Harry from Pro Wrestling 247, NBC Sports Radio on demand again. During the LA shows, the California shows, you worked with AJ Kirsch, who is somebody that we've spoken to before on our show. And I was wondering, is there any possibility that AJ may become more involved with Impact in an on-air or on-screen role?
You know what? Right now, I don't know. It just kind of comes down to the need that we have. I was impressed with AJ. I was impressed with not only the fact that he was a ring announcer, but some of the other stuff that he had done as far as in-ring work, and just his basically his personality, which if you don't know somebody as a performer and you meet them for the first time, it's that personality that clicks. And once a personality clicks, then you see the work and you say, okay, well, that's not bad. But it all comes down to needs, and right now we're okay. But I was definitely impressed with AJ ring announcing these shows this past weekend in California.
Hey, Ryan Bowman from thegorillaposition.com. Your years of experience behind the mic obviously helped you transition to now being an announcer. But has it ever been a hindrance? I mean, you have to walk a straight line when you're doing play-by-play or color to an extent. Do you ever feel yourself get caught up in the heat of the moment and go back to those years of instinct from before?
Can you guys hear me, Ross?
Sanjay, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Hello?
There you are, Sanjay.
Sorry. What was the question? Oh, yeah. So basically, what I wanted to say was, nothing that I've done, in my career would get me ready for getting in the booth and doing what I'm doing now. There's no preparation for that. There's nothing that got me ready. I mean, this is if you've never done it, I challenge you to do it and try to be good at it, because it is a very, very difficult job. I give props to anybody that whether it be on our show, Raw, SmackDown, whatever, whoever gets in that booth and calls a show, it is a very, very tough job. It's a very tough job, and I knew it was tough, but I didn't know how tough it was until I got in the booth and sat there next to Josh.
Sanjay, we have a question from Jerry Sam via YouTube. He wants to know, what does the future hold for Brian Cage, and what impresses you most about him?
Well, the immediate future holds Bobby Lashley tomorrow night on Pop TV. You know, that's his first kind of big test here at Impact Wrestling. You know, he's kind of he took out EC3 at Feast or Fired. He's taken out Braxton Sutter. He's had some quick victories in less than 30 seconds. So the big test is going to be tomorrow night versus Brian Cage, and I'm personally looking forward to that. That's kind of like a dream match for me, you know, seeing Brian Cage for so many years, being on so many different shows with him on the independents, you know, that's something that I always thought would be wow. Imagine those two kind of colliding. So that's going to happen tomorrow night. I can't wait for that. What impresses me the most about Brian, not aside from his physical stature, is his athleticism and what he can actually do as an athlete and still be as big as he is. So and I think that he's only kind of hit the tip of the iceberg on Impact Wrestling, on what he's actually capable of in that ring.
And Brandon Anderson via Facebook wants to know, are there any plans for future shows, or do you plan to stay in Orlando?
The shows outside of Orlando, as in our television taping? Yeah. There are plans to branch out from Orlando, and hopefully we can solidify things sooner than later.
Hey, Riju from Sportskeeda again. So I wanted to ask you about EC3's final promo at the conclusion of Feast of Fired, which I thought was a brilliant segment. It got the crowd all pumped up. How much of it was scripted and how much it was off the cuff? And what did you personally think of that segment?
I thought it was a good segment. I thought it, I thought it kind of accomplished what it needed to accomplish. As far as the verbiage that EC3 delivered, I think that at the end of the day, EC3 is an extremely creative guy. I think he's very gifted on the microphone. I think he's very gifted with using his words to get across a story. And I think he did an excellent job at that Feast or Fire segment.
Sanjay, Stu Myrick from Sports Guys Talking Wrestling and 104.9 FM The Horn in Austin. Hey, good to talk to you. Let me ask you this. You talked earlier about working with UK promotions. Do you have a wish list for some of the bigger U.S. independent promotions that you would like to see Impact join up with?
Well, I think right now, we've got some good relationships already. There's a group out of Seattle, Defy Wrestling, which I'm very impressed with their roster and what they've kind of pulled off and what they're continuing to do. I think they just announced a champion versus champion match with Shane Strickland versus Austin Aries. WrestlePro out in New Jersey. We've had some successful stuff going on with them. We had a great Twitch event called Brace for Impact in February. And, there's AML in North Carolina that we've just got on the GWN network and stuff. So we've got some very good, successful relationships that we've got now. And that doesn't mean that, the door is closed to anything else. Definitely open to looking at what else is out there, which there's a ton out there. The independents are I've been on an independent scene for 18 years, up and down, and it's never been as hot and as active as it is now.
Stephanie for Stitcher Magazine again. When we asked him about P.T. Williams, said he would love to team with you and create this seek and destroy tag team. And is it something you want to do when you're back? And what is the other goals when you're back? Let's say in 6 months.
Teaming with Petey?
Teaming with Petey and your plans for the future.
Yeah, I would love to kind of team with Petey. Petey and I have been close for years. As far as my in-ring future, like I said earlier, I'm not too sure what that is and where that lies. Right now, if this was 10 years ago, I'd be in the ring wrestling right now. But I'm taking it. I'm much older. I'm much more mature. I'm much smarter with my body, and I'm taking the appropriate time that I need to kind of rehab myself to get to 100%. So once I get to 100% and I'm ready to get in the ring and perform at the level that I am comfortable with and that I did prior to my injury, then I'll kind of take a hard look and see what I want to do. But right now I'm very happy and I'm very busy. So those aspects are totally covered for now.
Good morning, Sanjay. Andre Corbio from WrestlingWithWrestling.com. How you doing?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing really good. Just spoke with 1/3 of the Desi Hit Squad this weekend. Also interviewed Rohit Raju. We had spoke regarding the faction coming in as a face faction. Now, we know that your hands are all over this. What gave you, as a person with the creative involved in this, and really to give them a babyface push out of the gate as a faction, which usually come out of the gate as heels?
Well, I'm not sure where that comes from because they really haven't all come together as a group on television right now. Rohit Raju's has been on our show, and matter of fact, he'll be in a X Division 4-way matchup tomorrow night on Pop. So I'm not really sure where that's coming from, but there's definitely some plans to get them all on the same page and get them debuted together. But right now, Rohit is doing great, whether it be as a babyface or as a heel. He's had some great showings. He had a great showing against Matt Seidel a few weeks ago in an X Division title match. He was in Feast or Fired, and I guess at the end of the day, he's representing India very well.
Rohit Raju is a superstar in the making.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Sanjay, we got Nathan Gibson's question via Facebook. He wants to know, what is the best part, in your opinion, of the X Division?
I think it's just the style of wrestling. I always tell guys, back in 2002 when this company started, the X Division started, back in 2003 when I came into the company, not just myself, but there's your Petey Williams, your Jay Lethals, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, we were not household names. We were not superstars, but we were wrestling a style of wrestling that was very popular on the independent wrestling scene, and this company decided to capitalize on that and give it national exposure, and that's what created the X Division. It's just a very specific, a style of wrestling where guys will go out there, and it's unlike all the other matches that you may see on a show.
Hi Sanjay, it's Oliver Newman here again from Broken But Glorious Wrestling Podcast.
Hello.
And I just wanted to know, who in your opinion are the 5 best X Division stars of all time?
Oh, gosh, that's a tough one. 5, I'll throw out 3 and I'll say AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels, 100% at the top of the list.
Great answer.
Whoops, sorry about that. I cut you off there, Oliver. If you cue back in, I'll get you right back in to continue on your question. Hey, Ryan, you're open?
Oh, hi, Ryan Bowman from thegorillaposition.com. Hey, Sanjay, there's been so much cross-promotion going on right now in wrestling. In your opinion, when it comes to working with other companies, what kind of balance do you need to strike, and how much can you cross-promote without losing your own identity as a company?
Yeah, you know what? I think at the end of the day, there's a big world of pro wrestling out there, and then there's what the WWE is doing. So you can kind of categorize those two in those two categories. There's everybody else, and there's WWE, and everybody else it behooves everybody to kind of work together. It behooves everybody to share resources and kind of grow your brands together. But like you said, there is a fine line, I guess, between losing your own identity. But right now we're working with all these companies, and I'll use Big Time Wrestling last weekend in California as an example. Is that we went out there, and their audience is that may not have known us now is in tune with us, and we're in tune with some of the guys on the local scene out there. So this is something that I think, and we all do, is that it helps everybody out involved, and at the end of the day, why not?
Hi Sanjay, it's Oliver Newman from Broken Book Glorious Wrestling Podcast again. Just to follow up, because obviously Ross said about being cut off. I'm happy with the answer and the three wrestlers that you gave. Just wondering, what was your opinion of the Unbreakable match, the first time the X Division title main event in the pay-per-view?
You know what? That was one that I remember. I was in Japan, and I wasn't at that pay-per-view. I was in Japan, and I remember reading the reports, and that these three guys just tore the house down. And I remember I got back to the States, and I was like, all right, this is the first thing I want to do is check this match out. And I mean, what can be said that hasn't been said already about that match? Those three guys. I always had a great, and I still do have a great relationship with all those three guys, and they're kind of excelling, doing their own thing right now as well.
Thank you very much.
Sorry for cutting you off there, Oliver.
Sanjay, this is Harry, Flame 247, once again, NBC Sports Radio On Demand. I'll talk about the X Division here. One thing that's been missing, and I'm wondering if you're going to bring it back, is Ultimate X. That's a great match, a great concept, and we haven't seen one in quite a while. Is there any chance we might get one here in the near future? You know what? To me, it's that it's a special match. It's a special attraction, and before we came in, I think that people kind of the people here were leaning on it a little too much. And when you lean on something a little too much, it loses its attractiveness and it loses its aura, which there is a huge attractiveness, and there's a big aura to that match. I've been in that match many times, and I know what it's capable of. It can really be something that is an attraction. So it's just a matter of instead of saying, hey, let's do an Ultimate X match, let's find out when the right time is to do it and why to do it. So instead of just doing it, it's more about timing and why. So it's not like you're never going to see it again. You will definitely see it again. Thank you.
Hey, Sanjay, John Corrigan again from the Wrestling Estate. Can you tell us a little bit about the new podcast you're doing with Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. We tested it out this Monday as a kind of a pilot, and we've gotten some good response on it. So I think we may make it a weekly thing, and it comes out every Monday. What the aim is. I don't think anything's set in stone right now, as we just kind of were testing the waters and seeing if there was interest and how people will react to it. So, if we do move forward, it'd be a weekly thing where Josh and I kind of talk about the happenings of going on of that week in Impact Wrestling, and mix in some other wrestling talk and mix in some other talk in our daily lives. And I think that's kind of interesting as well as us talking about something not wrestling. So, there's definitely some big possibilities there. It's just we've kind of just working out the details and figuring out where we want to go with it. But so far the interest has been good, and good. We've gotten some good feedback on it since Monday.
Hey, Vijay from Sportskeeda again. So I spoke to Rosemary recently, and she spoke about Jimmy Jacobs helping her out with her lines and in a creative aspect. How instrumental has he been behind the scenes?
Jimmy came aboard in November. When he left WWE, I remember this was, I guess, October maybe, something like that. And Scott D'Amore and I were talking, and Scott and Jimmy go back, I guess maybe back when Jimmy first got in wrestling. So they've known each other for over 15 years, and Jimmy and I had worked on the independent scene since 2002, 2003, and I kind of said, Scott and I both were of the same mindset, saying, hey, let's reach out to Jimmy. And Jimmy came aboard in November, and he's been part of the writing team. He's been part of creative. He's helping produce matches. He's helping produce promos, and his strengths are definitely being felt. At the tapings. Just this example that you used with Rosemary. So Jimmy is very tuned in. He's very dialed into what we're doing, and it's good to have Jimmy. He's a very, very, very creative mind.
Sanjay, we have a question from Gaurav via YouTube who wants to know who has helped and coached you the most with your commentary. However, I think I like the question from X via YouTube better. Can you get rid of Josh Mathews?
Oh, gosh. Honestly, nobody has. I guess the only coach I've had has been Josh. Like I said, I've never done anything like this ever. Nothing close to it. Maybe I did commentary for a match or two on Impact in the past, but to call an entire show, no, I've never done that. So it was tough to get in there and kind of get in the groove, but it happened very quickly, and Josh and I are gelling well. I enjoy Josh in there. He's definitely a help. He is a veteran. He's got the experience, and kind of the story I said earlier, before we got in there, I told Josh, you lead and I'll follow, and we should be good from there.
All right, then Andre has had to get off the call, but he wanted me to ask you, any possibility of reforming a new Team Canada?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can rule anything out in pro wrestling. There's not one thing that you can say it ain't gonna happen. So, with that being said, you never know.
All righty, Sanjay. Well, we appreciate your time very much. Got a final thought as we wrap it up for this week?
No, not really. I think that overall, I think we've kind of covered a lot of bases here. Tomorrow night is Impact on Pop. We've got a big WrestleCon, weekend coming up, and like I said, we're going to be on Twitch. Josh and I will be doing podcasts live from New Orleans, and it's going to be. I think Ross, you mentioned that. We've got dinner with the Cult of Lee. We're going to go to work out with Eli Drake. And, on April 6th, obviously our show is at 9 p.m., and that's going to be broadcast live on Twitch as well, Lucha Underground versus Impact Wrestling, 4:30 at this Royal St. Charles Hotel in New Orleans. I think it's about 0.3 miles from the WrestleCon convention venue itself. So head on over there at 4:30. It's open to the public. It's open to the media. It's going to be a big press conference. Alberto Patron, Austin Aries in our main event. They'll both be there. And right before our press conference at the Royal St. Charles Hotel, there'll be a live women's podcast with the Rise group. Rise is a women's group, and they're making some waves out there. And they've got a podcast and a women's wrestling meet and greet from 12:30 to 3:30. The Shimmer champion, Nicole Savoy, some of the Shimmer tag champions, Leva Bates and Phoenix, they'll be there, and a host of others. So it's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a busy, busy weekend in WrestleCon in New Orleans. So I appreciate everybody's time.
All righty, Sanjay. Appreciate it very much. We will see you down the road. And media, thank you very much for calling in.
Goodbye.
This is the Wrestling Epicenter. For over 15 years, we've brought you the top names in professional wrestling for exclusive interviews. Everybody you see here has been interviewed by our site. But we're more than just interviews. So be sure and check out WrestlingEpicenter.com for news, results, information, and of course our store. WrestlingEpicenter.com, your #1 source for wrestling information.